Okay, guys, so I didn't get my computer, my laptop set up so I could film there yet, and the room that I was going to use, my bedroom, my wife was taking a nap, so I wasn't able to record in there. So I actually, because I try to keep it as quiet as I can, and I can't really do it in my living room anymore, I decided to leave to film in the vehicle. So I'm in the vehicle filming. Now, the first couple of chapters in Daniel aren't really going to be ones that we need to dig super deep into. So I may do the first couple until I get fully set up on the cell phone, and then I'll go to the computer after that when we get into the real meat and potatoes. But we're going to get the crux of this and the context of what's going on here and why Daniel ends up in the situation that he's in as we go. So this first video is going to be on the cell phone. We're going to start here, and we'll just see where it takes us. This may be uploaded a little after 3. It's like 2:50 now because of the situation. So we'll work with what we got, and we'll get ourselves into a rhythm. Like I said in the prelude, I'm going to do one video a week. It gives me plenty of time to set up for it. Gives you guys plenty of time to go watch it. And I think it'll be a little easier this way. So we'll have a little more time. And then it'll also give me more time to try to get set up and get my situation under a better scenario, so that way I can actually film properly and be able to investigate stuff and search the other scriptures. So let's get into this and let's see where we go. It is Daniel 1. Daniel and his friends obey God. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, with some of the articles of the house of God, which he carried into the land of Shinar to the house of his God. And he brought the articles into the treasure house of his God. Now, something very interesting about this particular story. It is at this point that people think the ark had already been removed, because it does not record that he had the ark. They think the ark was actually removed at this point and hidden away already in that cave. Now, we'll have to do a little more digging into that if we get into it more, but this is the theory, is that it was already gone. Verse 3, then the king instructed Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, to bring some of the children of Israel and some of the king's descendants and some of the nobles, young men in whom there was no blemish, but good looking, gifted in all wisdom, possessing knowledge and quick to understand, who had ability to serve in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the language and literature of the Chaldeans. And the king appointed for them a daily provision of the king's delicacies and of the wine which he drank, and 3 years of training for them, so that at the end of that time they might serve before the king. That's a pretty elaborate of what they're doing there. He wants to make sure these guys are ready. But that's a lot. I mean, he's really planning on having these guys there the rest of their lives. Verse 6, now from among those of the sons of Judah were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. To them the chief of the eunuchs gave names. He gave Daniel the name Belshazzar. Remember these names because these names appear elsewhere in the Bible. Belshazzar. To Hananiah, Shadrach. To Mishael, Meshach. And to Azariah, Abednego. So you guys know the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But Daniel proposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's delicacies, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the chief of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. Now God had brought Daniel into the favor and goodwill of the chief of the eunuchs. Daniel was a pretty all right guy, and so God was going to have some mercy on him and make it so that the chief of the eunuchs would like him. And the chief of the eunuchs said to Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who has appointed your food and drink. For why should he see your faces looking worse than the young men who are your age? Then you would endanger my head before the king. He's like, okay, so come on, Daniel. You do this, and you're going to put me in danger here. So Daniel said to the steward, whom the chief of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, please test your servants for 10 days, and let them give us vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then let our appearance be examined before you, and the appearance of the young men who eat the portion of the king's delicacies, and as you see fit, so deal with your servants. He's like, okay, so do this, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. Because it's funny because he's going to end up proving God by doing this. Verse 14, so he consented with them in this matter and tested them 10 days. And at the end of 10 days, their features appeared better and fatter in flesh than all the young men who ate the portion of the king's delicacies. Why would that be? The Lord is blessing them. Thus the steward took away their portion of delicacies and wine that they were to drink and gave them vegetables. As for these 4 young men, God gave them knowledge and skill in all literature and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. So he's putting these guys in a very high position so that they will be very well blessed in the land that they are. Does he not do the same thing with us here? Here in this world? Does he not do the same thing when we obey him? When we stand for God, does he not literally do the same thing to each and every one of us here in this world? Because it's a very similar scenario. Verse 18, now at the end of the days, when the king had said that they should be brought in, the chief of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. This would have been the 3 years. Then the king interviewed them, and among them all, none was found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore, they served before the king. So these 4 guys were held in the very highest esteem. And in all matters of wisdom and understanding which the king examined them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers who were in all his realm. Thus Daniel continued until the 1st year of King Cyrus. So what God did was, since he was going to let this happen the way it was, since he delivered them over, and this all ties into the judgments over Israel, he decided, I'm going to make sure that my most faithful are going to be of the highest caliber. And so the king will bless them more. And so God, even in their turmoil, even in their captivity, he's still blessing them. And a lot of people miss that. Even though they were, under this punishment, under this exile, God was still blessing them beyond measure, because he put them in the highest situation, the highest regard, the highest esteem, because they walked with integrity. They did what they knew what they should do. They did the right thing. So God blessed them in it. He does the same thing here on this earth. He does the same thing here in all the things that we do every day. If we walk in these truths, if we walk in his way, he will bless us beyond measure in front of everybody else. And everybody will, wait a minute, why are these guys so blessed? I wonder why. Maybe because we have example after example in the Bible of similar situations happening and the people being blessed by it. So again, we have an amazing real life example of how we should be walking, and we see what happens when we do that. Just like we talk about constantly. Walk in the ways of the Lord. Live to glorify him. Because what he will do is he will bless you 10 times over. He will bless you to overflowing in return. So guys, that's Daniel 1. Simple, straight to the point. This is our first dip into this. We're just scratching the surface. And so let's see what else we find. Like I said, the first few chapters are going to be this kind of stuff. That's okay. But as we go further, it's really going to get in the meat and potatoes. And I'm hoping to get my situation squared away better so that I can go on the laptop and do it, so we can look and search other things, because we're probably going to have to bounce around through the Bible looking some of this stuff up. But for right now, here we go. We have the introduction to get us into Daniel and to the 4 characters that play the biggest part in this book. And Daniel is a scary book. I'm apprehensive to a point, but I know the Lord is going to lead us right through this and teach us truth through this. And so I will do just fine. All right, guys, that's Daniel 1. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.